In the heart of Lamu's Matandoni village, the ocean has always been a source of life. But today it is struggling to breathe. With no proper waste disposal site, locals are forced to release all waste into the sea, turning a life-giving ocean into a dumping ground. This has brought disease to the community and destroyed the livelihoods of fishermen who now catch more plastic than fish.
Kamba wamepungua sana kiasi kikubwa sababu ya taka zilizokuwa zinaondoka hapa kwenda baharini, kuchafua bahari na kufika kwamba wale samaki wanapoona zile taka huenda akakishughulikia akijua pengine pana tamaa ya nini ya chakula, akaenda pengine ni chemical na inawamaliza kwa sababu ya hizi taka ambazo zipo hapa.
For the marine life, the impact is devastating. Their breeding grounds are suffocating. The waste doesn't stay in the sea. Ocean currents carry it into the Mukunumbi mangrove swamp, one of the most critical breeding grounds for fish and other marine life.
Hizi taka tunazotupa hapa baharini, samaki sisi hula, ile sumu ikienda kwa samaki, hata sisi pia huwa imeingia mwilini. Kwa mfano, utapata kuna breakout ya cholera kwa sababu ya utupaji wa taka. Kwa sababu taka hizi upepo kwa wale wagonjwa wa sinus, kuna ama kifua cha TB au pumu, wako hata high risk ya kuwa na ule ugonjwa kutowaondokea kuwa uko karibu saa yote.
Here, the waste chokes young mangrove shoots, disrupting a fragile ecosystem that sustains both people and nature. World Wildlife Fund and the Kenya Red Cross, through nature-based solutions, are working to change this story. By introducing waste management systems, restoring mangroves, and engaging the community, they are helping Matandoni reclaim its ocean and protect its future.
Sisi wenye ambao ni wakazi wa hapa itatuletea furaha sana kwa sababu si yetu itakuwa safi, pia na huko ambapo tuko ndani ya majumba pia kutakuweko safi na tutafurahi na tutasikia raha. Sahi hatuna raha ndani ya hini mji wetu wa Matandoni.
The change starts with the people who call Matandoni home. With your support, we can turn the tide. Together, we can give Matandoni the tools to manage waste, restore its mangroves, and protect the health of both its people and marine life.
Bichi kuwa safi, mimi kwanza naomba kwa serikali itutengee mahali maalum ambazo hizi takataka zetu zote zikuwe mahali pamoja, zichomwe, ndiposa hawa watu wote yani watakuwa hawana uwezo wa kutupa taka hizi pani kwa sababu kuna mahali maalum hizi taka zinahifadhiwa. Sasa watu wanakosa mahali maalum pa kuhifadhi taka, ndio utaona kila mmoja ubwaga vile atakavyo hapa pani, kila sehemu kuna taka. Ni hivyo.
This is more than conservation. It's survival. The ocean has given so much to Matandoni. Now it's our turn to give back.
Jirani tu sisi hapa Matandoni sublocation ni Kipungani. Kipungani kule wageni walipewa notice mambo ya kuteremka Matandoni at your own risk due to hizi takataka za hapa baharini. Ikiwa kutakuwa na center, hata kule kutakuwa na authority, sasa wageni wanaweza kuja hapa kutembea na watu kupata riziki zao.
Good morning, our viewers who are watching us all across from wherever you are. If you're in the East African region, it's morning, and wherever other parts of the world, it could be afternoon or still night. Today marks the Global Earth Day 2026. April 22nd globally is a day that we normally sit to commemorate and think about and reflect about the Earth. This year's theme is focusing on our power, our planet. And one of the things we are emphasizing is collective action, renewable energy, and environmental stewardship. Today, over 1 billion people around the globe, we are gathering together to address the climate change through rallies, educational events, and sustainable management, and to have a conversation around our anthropogenic activities, which include pollution reduction and ecosystem protection. The key aspects in this year and the theme around our Power Our Planet highlights the transition to clean energy and community-driven environmental solutions. Why is this significant? It is the primary global day of action to fight climate change, combat deforestation, and promote environmental literacy. This calls us to action for people to participate in a collective manner so that we can reduce waste, plant trees, participate in cleanups, and adopt sustainable lifestyles. This day was brought to life in 1970 and has grown to be one of the largest civic events on earth. Civic because it is a day that we seek to promote and educate ourselves and train and teach ourselves on how we can treat our earth better. More close home, our Nobel laureate, the late Wangari Maathai, is not new to us. And she once made a renowned statement that our mother nature is very unforgiving. If we don't treat it nicely, it will come back and punish us. Could it be that we are seeing some of the impacts? And with me today, I am joined also with wonderful ladies, starting with Dr. Catherine Mbaise, who is the Deputy Director, Educational Awareness and Training at the NEMA, that is the National Environment Management Authority. Good morning, Dr. Catherine.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'm also joined by a wonderful lady, Farha Ahmed from the Zamzam Foundation, who is the Programs Director. And they also take a role around some of the initiatives to make sure that we are conserving our ecosystems and making it great. What do we want to achieve today? We would like to have just some conversations around the Global Earth Day to just discuss, create awareness, and see how we can have collective action to make our Earth a better day. I will allow us to just watch a brief clip on some of the work going on, and then I will take us to our panelists to have a conversation. I believe we've been able to see some of the things, and this video was just showcasing some of the impacts of our human activities on Earth. And we would just like to have conversations. Are we treating the Earth well? What are some of the things? We would like to have a conversation around the environment, why it is important to take care of the environment, and how, as Kenya as a country, we are doing on environment conservation. And I'd just like to bring on board Dr. Mbaise to just tell us a bit. First of all, I know NEMA is very significant around the environment, and probably we are not very cognizant of some of the things we do. One of the objectives of this day is civic education. So probably you could start by telling us about NEMA, the role you play, and why that is very significant for us on a day like today.
Thank you, Peter, for inviting us to this interview. My name is Dr. Catherine Mbaise. I'm the Deputy Director in charge of environmental education awareness and training in NEMA. Just to give you a little background about NEMA, NEMA is established by the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, where it is given the mandate of supervising and coordinating all matters that are related to the environment. And it's also the principal arm of government in ensuring and implementing all the regulations and advising government in environmental matters. And how the authority does this is by undertaking various actions. One of the actions is the whole idea of environmental compliance. There are various laws that have been developed. I think we have about, we have 14 regulations that have been developed from the Environmental Management Act and also the Sustainable Waste Management Act and the Climate Change Act of 2016. From there, we have developed a number of laws. One of them is the Environmental Impact and Social Assessment Regulations, where we are addressing the issues of development, such that if you have you are coming up with any development, the first thing you should do is to prepare an environmental impact assessment report, which will be assessed by the authority together with the inputs from other lead agencies, just to ensure that we are developing sustainably. We are putting our buildings or developments in the right place. We are using the right techniques so that we do not cause further harm to the environment. In the other regulations that I'll just mention a few is the Waste Management Regulation. This one is also drawn from the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, where we are looking at the issues of waste management, such that we are regulating where this waste is disposed. So we license the waste disposal sites, and we also require that if you are transporting waste, you also get a license. The other regulation we have is the air quality regulation. And here we are looking at the emissions that come from our development. If you are having a vehicle, you are having a facility that is emitting, this regulation requires that you get what we call an emission license if it's a facility, both the ambient air quality and also the other areas, so that we are whatever is going into the atmosphere meets the required standards. Mm-hmm. We also have another regulation, the water quality regulation, whereby, you know, we all use water, and when that water is used and it is put back into the environment, it must meet certain standards that are stipulated in the water quality regulation. You must treat your water. If you are in a facility, a factory, you must treat your water to a level that is safe enough to be put back into the environment or to be put back into the rivers, which we just simply call it the environment. The other bit that the NEMA does is we do research. Mm-hmm. We do research on the issues that are affecting the environment. Mm-hmm. If it is waste management, if it is air quality, we have some indicators. And at the end of every 2 years, we prepare what is called the state of environment. Mm-hmm. And some of these researchers that they inform us, what are the trends? Mm-hmm. Are we having our forests degraded? Is our water quality improving? Mm-hmm. So all that is captured in the state of environment, which is done biannually. Okay. We also have another area that we are very keen on, the whole idea of education, just informing the public. Mm-hmm. What regulations do we have? what is the requirement of the regulated community, what do you need, what are the permits that you need, what do you need to comply. We also do enforcement, such that these regulations that have been put
in place, yeah.
If you violate them, you have some measures.
Okay.
You can be warned. If you don't comply, we can take you to court. We have a legal section also, who also handle those, and sometimes we are also sued. Or the public is not happy, or a developer is not happy. There are redress mechanisms.
Okay, I'm just as I'm listening to you, I can see there is a lot that NEMA actually has in place in terms of the framework, in terms of policies. I don't know, when we look at the Earth Day today, and you'll agree with me that we've not been very kind in conserving our Earth. We've really depleted, we've really degraded and done things that have been negative to the environment. What are some of the challenges, or what would be some of the clarion call that you might make to people, especially from the perspective you sit around awareness? And I sit to wonder, as a Kenyan who understands these laws and sees what happens in our country, a lot of pollution, a lot of emission, a lot of vehicles moving and polluting the air. People throwing garbage through the window of vehicles, just throwing waste without caring. There is noise pollution, there is all this pollution that one would wonder, where is the crack? What are some of the challenges from where you sit as NEMA, and what would be one clarion call from an educationalist perspective that you'd like to put us as a Kenya on a trajectory as we discuss about the Earth today and how we make the Earth function better? Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. I really appreciate the theme of World Earth Day today. It is our power, our planet. Because while we have, as an authority, and together with the other agencies and other government institutions, because our regulatory and policy development is very participatory, and that we do very well. And these instruments or tools are out there. While they are there, there is need for all of us to come on board and implement them, or take responsibility of our actions. One of the things that I like the bit on our power, it is really calling us to take action. Because as much as there are all those regulations, unless they are implemented, there's nothing that is going to happen. So there is need for each and every individual, each and every person who has been given responsibility to implement. For example, NEMA, we've been given the responsibility of enforcing this as one of our areas. And that we do. But as much as we do, there is also the responsibility of the common mwananchi, where they are supposed to take action. For example, in waste management, which has really been a big challenge for us. MCA came into force in 1999, 2000 there. In 2006, we developed the waste management regulations, and we are enforcing that. But we still had the challenge of waste management. Until in 2022, we had to come up with another more, just to be able to address those issues. We came up with the sustainable waste management policy, and which now gave rise to the National Solid Waste Management Regulation. So that we are focusing more on this waste, because as a Kenyan, as you walk around, you will see the waste thrown into the environment. But now we are saying this waste is a resource, but it is the common mwananchi that is going to come up in enforcing this. We want all Kenyans or this law requires that all Kenyans or every waste generator must take responsibility of their waste. If it's in their household, you are supposed to segregate your waste. And once you segregate your waste into 3 parts, there is the organic, then there is the recyclables, and then there is the general waste. We have proposed 3 bins or 3 colors where to help the mwananchi to sort their waste. So we would like this organic waste to be sorted, and then it goes to the green bin, then the recyclables go to the blue bin, and then the general waste goes to the black bin. Why we are doing this is that every Kenyan should also take part in doing something in segregating. Then we have also calling upon the Kenyans to look at this recyclable waste, because this is a resource. If it is plastics, we can repurpose, we can recycle into reusable, and we can create jobs, we can create employment, we can create some income. If it is organic, we have our soils that are degraded. This organic can be composted and help to condition our soils. We have other initiatives.
Yeah.
For example, we have a big challenge of deforestation. The government has come up with a very good document that is help that we grow 15 billion trees. We are growing, not planting, just to help the whole idea of reforesting and sorting out our issue of forest degradation, deforestation, and drought. But here we are looking at this also as a source of income. When our communities come up with the tree nurseries, when they grow fruit trees, we are looking at the food security. When they are growing wood resources, we are seeing that this is something that is not only going to help address the issues of climate change, but is also going to help our livelihood, is going to help our food sources, medicinal, because we are looking at this as something that is really a wholesome approach in food growing.
Yes.
So we are calling upon the communities.
Yeah.
When we say our power,
Yeah.
we have the power. It
Yeah.
is coming from the people,
Yeah.
not like waiting for the government and saying, NEMA, when are you coming to enforce?
Yeah.
We are actually, this same focuses us on what is it that you can do.
Yes,
Are
collective
you a
action.
community? Are you a government agency?
Yeah.
Do you have a responsibility?
Yeah.
Is it water that you are trying to address?
Yeah.
What is it that you need to do? That which you are supposed to do is what this team is calling you to do.
Yes.
And when you will do that
Yeah.
together, it is a great power that is going to help us.
Indeed, our power, our planet, and how best to put it. And very good clarion calls there, Dr. Mbaisi from NEMA, in the sense that there is enforcement, there is regulation, there are laws on one hand, there is what we are required to do. But the key clarion call that is coming from your statement is collective action. And I like the perspective you bring that much as we are generating waste, we need to take responsibility of that waste and make sure that we are managing that waste in a way that we do not deplete the environment. But I also like that you're bringing the perspective of how we can do ecosystem restoration in a manner that also enhances our livelihoods. Very wonderful indeed. And Fariha, from where you sit as Zamzam Foundation, it's a very good, what a better place to bring you in as civic role. We all as a community have a civic responsibility to make sure that we are preserving our planet, we are preserving our earth and making it a better place. It would be good to hear from your perspective as a civic organization on what Zamzam Foundation is doing around the earth and why this day is very important for you, Fariha.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mugramen. And my name is Fariha Ahmed. I'm the Programs Director for Zamzam Foundation. Zamzam Foundation was established in 2009. We work in different regions. We work in the Asail counties. We work in Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Turkana, Tana River, Marsabit. And we focus mainly on the Asail counties. When we talk about the Earth Day, and when we talk about, we are having this conversation, and as the doctor here was giving us what NEMA does and the good work they're doing, a lot has been running in my mind. You know, when you say my power, my planet, power meaning it starts with us. And the planet is like an incubator. It's a place whereby life is nurtured in. So as Zamzam Foundation, we look at sustainability. We look at the projects, all our projects, we look at a project whereby it can sustain itself during the process, and it's there for years, and it doesn't need, and it's something that it can build itself, grow itself. So one of the things that I'm passionate about is natural-based solutions. That's why we are more focused on what is called edible forest. When we talk about edible forests, yes, we are planting trees to conserve the environment, but why don't we, the idea was, why don't we come with an idea whereby it is a 360 degrees project, whereby it brings food to the table, it conserves the soil, it conserves the environment, and at the same time, it creates source of income for the community. Why am I saying that? When we plant mango trees and we plant moringa trees for medicinal purposes, we plant mango trees for its fruits, we plant other kinds of trees, which means that this tree is actually one thing, it's good for the soil, it stops soil erosion. It makes sure that also the soil, it's also revived. At the same time, it is source of food for this community. When you look also in the medical sector, moringa is good for a lot of things. And it's a sustainable plant. So at the same time, when these mothers and families take this to the market, it's also a source of income. So what are you doing? You're conserving the environment. At the same time, you're helping in food scarcity. You're helping in also soil erosion. You're helping also in during drought. You know, these trees, we build these trees, they attract rain, and also you'll have the soil wet. So it's when, as the doctor was speaking, she spoke also the same. She said food, source of also medicinal. So we are all doing the same thing, and I feel like being part of this and being part of this thing, that Zamzam Foundation is at the center of it.
Wow. Thank you much, Faria. And I like the connection you bring around the benefits of the edible forests. I have some years now, and I remember when I was young, when the ecosystems were still very rich. I hail from a place called Kapkoi in Elgeyo Marakwet, and I remember the thick forests of a place called Sabur and other areas that is around it. And I remember we could walk and pick wild fruits. We could walk and just enjoy. Our grandmothers, I remember one morning, my grandmother gave me some leaves to chew, and it had medicinal value, and it was out of the thick forests, yeah? And I remember very huge streams, water streams that were thick, clean, fresh water. The natural habitat was very beautiful then.
True.
We as human beings over the years have depleted, but I'm glad to say that all is not lost. There are some efforts to do ecological restoration. I like that you bring that to the fore. So that it's not lost. By the way, I know I'd not introduced myself to the viewers. They may think that maybe I'm a commentator or something, but I sit as the disaster risk reduction manager with the Kenya Red Cross, and one of my dockets is about environmental conservation. And as the Red Cross Society, we do a lot around environmental conservation. You talk about nature-based enterprise, nature-based solutions. And in Lamu County, for example, in partnership with the WWF Kenya, we are collaborating to ensure marine conservation. We are doing a lot of conservation work, and WWF being experts in conservation, and Kenya Red Cross being experts in community engagement and risk reduction. And some of the things you're talking about, Faria and Dr. Catherine, are some of the things we're taking into consideration to say, how do we work with communities to reduce the risks that we are seeing? To our listeners, I just want to highlight some of the work that is going on around the country today. We are aware that there's a youth meeting that is going to happen at KICC later on, just around the Earth Day. In Kakamega, I know, and in some parts of the country, the Kenya Red Cross volunteers, staff, and our branches are engaging in initiatives that will contribute to the Earth Day. Some are carrying out waste management initiatives, some with the Kenya forest, like I know the Kakamega branch is going to be planting trees in the Kakamega forest. I know there is the mangrove restoration work that is going on in collaboration with WWF Kenya and Kenya Red Cross in the Lamu branch. But also something very significant happening today is Kesup, where there is the Green Ambassadors Foundation, who are collaborating with like-minded partners of Kenya Red Cross, NEMA, the government, and the Guinness World Record, aiming at planting 24,000 trees within 24 hours. Kesup is very dear to my heart because it has a lot of proximity to where I come from, and I'm very happy. It just borders the valley, the Kerio Valley, where the weather is otherwise very adverse. So today some of those activities are happening. As we take a short break, viewers, we'll just watch a small clip. And when we watch a small clip, we'll see if we can take you to a journey to Kesup, where some activities are happening and we should be able to engage our team there. Keep listening, just to let you know that it is our power, your power, my power, our planet. We want to see a better environment, healthy environment. Yeah, so if you're watching, I believe a number of you are watching that clip, and that is Kesup. And colleagues, it is really a sorry state, because you can imagine what happens there. Kesup is in between the high level of the mountains, and it's in the middle, and between that and Kerio Valley. So you can imagine Kenya is beginning to witness a number of landslides, mudslides that were not traditionally things that we were accustomed to. And we are the culprits in these activities. We are the contributors of such exercises. Today in Kesup, we are aiming at having trees being planted, up to 24,000. So I don't know if studio, we are able to go to Kesup and have Kesup online, or do we continue in studio as we get them online? Because to our viewers, we would really like you to get the real life experience. Those images are real life images. It is what is happening in Kesup at the moment. When we are ready to have them on board, we'll bring them live, because we would like them to tell us a bit of what is really going on there. But let us just think a bit. Let us just pause on the images, and I wish even I could have a still image on the screen for viewers to see. Is that what exactly are we doing to our planet? What exactly are we doing on Earth? We remember in Nairobi, if we may bring some things into perspective, recently we saw the impact of floods. I have talked about landslides in places that traditionally would not have landslides. We think about Elgeyo Marakwet last year. We had a very unfortunate situation where we lost lives. We are experiencing droughts and climate variation in places where otherwise we would be experiencing good weather conditions. What are we doing to our people? What are we doing when we look at the images that are on the screen, and as we are working with the Kenya Forest to make sure that we are not degrading? And this is what about this conversation today is, our power. Please do not point your finger to the other person and say it is NEMA who has not done, it is enforcement that has not done, it is the other person littering. What example do you do when you see somebody littering? Are you able to take collective action and tell them, hey, you're degrading our environment? What do we do when we see people clearing trees like that? And as you can see on your screen, the holes are already dug, It is a prepared scenario whereby we are looking at hitting the Guinness World Record of planting 24,000 trees in 24 hours. Our team that is on ground will be able to be telling us once we have them on air. But if I may come back to studio and to bring you again, Dr. Catherine. So you mentioned about awareness. Just tell us a bit, some of the quick low-hanging fruits for collective actions that community members could be thinking about. What are the simple things I can do as a citizen to preserve my environment, to have power on my planet?
Thank you, Peter. We have highlighted the challenges that we have in the environment space. You have rightly highlighted the issues of the degradation of the forests that we have. Some of the challenges that come are maybe people doing them, I would say maybe because they don't understand, but sometimes also driven by a little bit of greed, because the local communities have lived with the forest for a long time. You've just mentioned that you grew up harvesting wild fruits from your local forests, but a time came when the communities could like cut down trees to burn charcoal. When they could do it for their own household, it was not a big problem. But when they could sell it right now, at times when you are driving like in Nakuru roads, you can see the number of sacks that are transported through motorbikes. If you sit and count, you can see how many trees have been cut down. That is a livelihood. Maybe they are doing it for livelihood, but the degradation that is caused is a lot. So what we are urging communities, let's plant trees. Let's be purposeful. If you have an land, there are rules that govern. Like if you have land, how much land you can leave for tree growing, so that you are growing trees even in your land. And we have communities that live around the forest. How do we use these natural resources sustainably? We have the whole idea of taking care of the forest, but using it sustainably. Like bee farming. You will get your honey, but you will not degrade the forest. Today we have a lot of challenges because we have those are natural pollinators, but we have destroyed the forest. So our food, our maize, does not reach the required potential because we don't have enough pollinators, which is because we have destroyed the forest. So what do? We need to take care of the forest. Sometimes even when we just leave it without going there to harvest, it will naturally grow. We have our water resources. We have degraded them because when you look at the large rivers, we have farmed up to the river. We have subdivided the land up to the river. We have built our houses like what we saw in Nairobi. We have settlements right on the river. So when it floods, we have invaded the waterways. So I think the whole idea is to just leave the waterways, leave the natural waterways, so that when the water comes, it will just remain in its waterway and it will not be harmed. So those are some of the things that we have done, and it also comes because maybe planning. When we are subdividing and getting the plots, what do? We have guidelines. Maybe if we just followed our own guidelines, we can be able to address and avert some of the disasters that come. Because people do not live there. Sometimes they are allowed. Or we concessionally. So maybe we need to look at this more more intentionally,
Yes.
so that we are looking at the future.
Okay.
So we have a number of challenges, but I feel that we can have some solutions, deliberate solutions.
Yeah.
As an authority, when we look at, I mentioned earlier about air quality, we have, you mentioned about the vehicles that are polluting the environment. Now we have regulations, and we are going to require that you, with your vehicle, you test. And how I wish that we could do that voluntarily, that we test this vehicle and see whether whatever is coming out of my vehicle is not polluting the environment.
Yeah.
And we can be able to maintain our vehicles,
Yeah.
and make sure that they are not polluting.
Yeah.
If we can do that voluntarily,
Yeah.
NEMA will not come to you and say stop,
Yeah.
because they will just allow you to do your work very easily.
Thank you very much. And you know, you trigger some reflections, and I want to point our viewers to some of these reflections. Voluntary testing, voluntary action. If you are somebody who's driving a vehicle that is polluting the environment, just know that you're creating diseases, you're contributing to some deaths without knowing, subconsciously, and it would be an onus upon us to take responsibility and to voluntarily have our vehicles tested for air pollution, rather, and even take the appropriate action. If there is an area that has waste, and I see a practice whereby people put waste and they don't mind and they say nobody's seeing us, well, nobody's seeing us, but you are affecting yourself later. Your child, yourself, your relative is later on harvesting the impact of your careless actions. And I don't shy away from saying careless actions, because then you're polluting the environment, then you're contributing to increased diseases. I'll be talking a bit about statistics around some of those actions and how they affect us. But as I bring Farhia on board to just tell us from a civic perspective, from a foundation perspective, and even speaking to even other like-minded partners, some of the roles we can play in communities to make sure that we are supporting the likes of NEMA. And after that, we would likely bring the video on just looking at the context of Africa and having some perspectives of Africa. Then now we can be able to move forward. So Farhia, what in your perspective as civic organizations we can play a role in this?
Mulgomen, before I answer that, I want to piggyback on something you said previously about where you grew up and the way the environment was then. I remembered something when I was growing up also. I grew up in Nairobi area. So when you breathe in the morning, you remember you had this smoke coming from your mouth because of the cold which was there.
Yes.
Because of the trees, the monkeys were around. When you put something, a banana on your kitchen is open, our mothers, monkeys used to, you don't see that anymore. That means that what is going on is not, it's really, really, really impacting the planet. So coming back to your question, let's have this joint initiative, which it's already there, it's already in place, whereby we say, not only during Earth Day or not only during this kind of forums, but we come with whereby we say every month, every person who works in an NGO or humanitarian world, no matter where, come with an initiative where you plant at least one tree, either in your homeland, either if you're living in a city like let's green, you know, the Machakos County, let's green, you know, it's a kind of a movement whereby everybody participates. Then the fund comes from the community themselves. We do awareness. And then also, the other thing is also a lot of farmers, what the challenges we are facing back when we are doing this edible forest is they want to just stick onto their normal farming, like, you know, growing these vegetables, things like that. So getting them to get from there and plant a tree whereby also it will give them fruits, it give them all that, it's also a challenge. So create more awareness. People don't understand the importance of trees. People don't understand why do I need a tree. It's not only that, it's also for shades. It's also for the future of the children who are being raised right now. So we come together, support NEMA in areas whereby we know that to stop soil erosion, to build trees even outside your door. If to plant a tree outside your door, if you own a home in Nairobi, that's also a form of conservation. It's not necessary you go to the village or go to a forest. No, start where you are. Let's plant trees. Let's make the environment better.
Thank you. Very, very spot on. And I'll just give some statistics, then we go to the video on Africa. You know, as we're talking about this, I'd like our viewers to really, and all of us to take cognizance of the seriousness of the matter. I was just trying to do some, you know, numbers don't lie. I was just trying to do some statistics to really understand the impact. And I want to focus on air pollution because on waste management, that is very common. And that's what NEMA has clearly told us if we could take responsibility on. I was just looking, and it's interesting to look at the air pollution is a major global health threat. And I want you to reflect for a moment, how many patients, cancer patients, are we seeing currently? The other day we had COVID. We have respiratory tract infections that are on the increase. Past 2 weeks, there have been increased cases. And what it is saying is this air pollution is contributing to approximately 8.1 million premature deaths annually. Take a moment and reflect. 8.1 million premature deaths. These are not even the anticipated deaths, premature, and affecting every organ of the human body. Out of this, the core impacts are respiratory system, and I believe a number of us, one way or the other, we've been exposed to respiratory issues, frequency of colds, throat infections, and all those kind of things. Issues around cardiovascular health. We know now that cancer is a very common disease, and the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies outdoor air pollution and particulate matter as group 1 carcinogens as the leading cause of lung cancer, and is linked to bladder and breast cancer. Think about that. The Cancer Research Institution links air pollution to be one of the leading causes of the lung cancer and is linked to the bladder and breast cancer. The neurological impacts, how many cases of people having neurological impairments? For those of you who want to understand that, where your nerves are affected, we have increasing cases of people who are having nerve infections, like Alzheimer's, dementia, and all those kind of things. And then reproductive and prenatal health. It is even affecting growth. It is affecting regular growth or otherwise natural growth. And this affects mainly children, older adults, pregnant people, and low-income communities. It is interesting that one of the major attributors of this air pollution are we ourselves through unmanaged waste burning. You know, we just burn waste and they think it's okay, let's just burn the waste. Secondly, traffic emission. Traffic emission. And viewers, we are raising this as we talk about the power we have on our planet. And if you're thinking that cancer is on the rise, threat infections are on the rise, diseases are on the rise, please point the finger back to yourself, because we are the ones who are polluting the air. And as we pollute the air, we are now contributing to this. The reverse is true, and that's what we are saying today. Our power in not polluting the environment, our power in not, degrading the environment, our power in not contributing to traffic emissions that pollute the air. It is inevitable that vehicle will always emit, but how can we control? How can we be responsible to make sure that our vehicles are well serviced and they're not emitting? How can we have collective action to make sure that we're doing this? Ladies and gentlemen, as we view, allow me to just bring the perspective of Africa through a small video that we will watch right now as we come back to the conclusions of this conversation that we have today on our power, our planet.
viewers to understand the immense power they have to take action. Many times we are looking at who has not done what, but as individuals we have power. First of all, I like what you have highlighted about the issue of air quality. It's a big problem in the country, and those statistics that you have mentioned and the effects they have on human health. And the authority has developed the air quality regulations, and we have gone on to just try to give life to these regulations. And I am really calling on all the stakeholders. First of all, the industry. Anyone who is having a facility that is emitting, I know they have put in place measures, but let us see what is going out into the environment. In the first place, you who is working in that facility, you are the first person to be affected. Then the neighbors, they are also affected. The vehicles, let's ensure that our vehicles are meeting the required standards. The authority is pushing to make sure that they test every vehicle. And how I wish that we would voluntarily go and measure or test our vehicles, because you are the first one to be affected. Before NEMA comes, you are the first one, because you are the one who is in the jam, you are the one who is in that vehicle.
Yeah.
The other bit I would really want to call upon viewers to embrace the low-lying fruits, what you can do on waste management, because we have a challenge on where we dispose of our waste. I know waste is one of the issues that has been devolved to our county governments. But first of all, before we even get there, in the household, in the institutions, how are you managing your waste? I would really like you to embrace, all of us, to embrace the whole issue of sorting our waste. And we've reached out to many of waste handlers just to impress on them on the kind of mind shift that we require when we are handling waste. We receive waste when it's segregated. Let's transport this waste when it's segregated. And what is most important is the fact that this waste is money. If you look at your phone, that phone, even if it's not working today, it still has value. Some of those parts are very valuable. They can be recycled. And therefore, we would like that you segregate this waste and take it to licensed waste handler. If it is e-waste, take it to someone who is licensed to handle e-waste, so that they can dismantle that phone and get the part that is valuable, you reuse it, and that one which has maybe some toxic elements can be handled in a safe way. Don't throw it to the environment, because it will end up on your table. The rain will come, the chemical will dissolve, it will go to the river, the water will be used to water your skooma, and you will buy that skooma in the supermarket.
And you become sick.
And you become sick. So some of these things we need to do them, not because anyone is watching, but for sure we are. If you are having a factory that is emitting, the air will be polluted. Even if you are living in a posh area, the air is not does not belong to one person. It will be dispersed, and it will still end up, and it will still cause problems. So as we listen to those statistics, the question is, what is it that we can do at personal level? And if you can do it, and someone else in Elgeyo Marakwet is doing it, someone in Mombasa is doing it, all those combined efforts are going to put us in a healing path to the environment.
What a better way to put it, that we can do it in every small way. If someone in Elgeyo Marakwet, Kesupi is able to do it, Kakamega, all the parts in Lamu, in Mombasa, in all corners in your small area, if somebody can do it, why aren't you able to do it? And the three principles, the three R's, the one of recycle, reuse, and reduce. How are we able to recycle if as much as possible? How are we able to reuse where applicable? How are we able to reduce when we can reduce? Why do we have even water, electricity, all the simple things? How can we make sure we are doing that? Faria, even from Zamzam, even with your closing shots, a parting shot, as you reflect on this Earth Day?
I will say one thing. Your input is your output.
Okay.
Treat the planet the way you treat your body. What you put in your body, it's what will also either make you healthy, make you sick, or make you a human. So if we treat the earth like that, let's, for example, take for a mango tree. When the mango is too ripe and the season is over, it drops, it goes to the earth. Why does it go to the earth? Because it acts like a manure again, to grow something else. So if we take those that responsibility as a person, and we take earth like our own body, the way we treat our body, because today most of us don't like to put poison into our body, you know. So let's not poison the earth too. Let's protect it. Let's put life into it so that it can grow life and we can be healthy humans in it.
Thank you very much, Zamzam. And I think those are reflection points, dear listeners and viewers from wherever you're watching, on the power you have in your hands towards your planet. And just to piggyback on what Faria you've just said, there is a common saying when people go for funerals is, from earth you've come, back to earth you go. We are made of soil if we are to look historically of the origin, and we are the earth. Let us realize that our actions, I think the clarion call I'm getting from this panel today and the conversation we are having is, first of all, we are responsible either for a good, conducive environment or a bad environment. If there are diseases, if there are ecological changes, if there is climate variation, if there is food insecurity, we are the ones who are contributing to it. On the contrary, it is possible to have food security, it is possible to have good health. That is good health through an environment and biodiversity, coexistence, and also living on earth. There is a new angle we are looking at things from the Kenya Red Cross perspective, where we are saying all life. Initially it was about human beings and wildlife, but we are thinking of all life. And all life considers human beings, it considers the livestock we keep, it considers the animals, it considers the plants, it considers the natural resources, everything that contributes to life. Our Global Earth Day focuses us to realize that we all have the power in our hands. We have the power to stop our environment. We would appeal to the public to think about, start with your small spaces. I think that's what NEMA is saying, and that's what Faria you're saying. We can start from our community, making sure that we are making the environment we are staying in habitable. No emissions, no mismanaged wastes, no issues that are degrading the environment. On the contrary, issues that contribute to environmental conservation, ecological restoration, and a way that we are sustainably using the environment and contributing to our planet being a better place. I will leave us with a last clip, a last video clip that shows some of the work that the Kenya Red Cross is doing with communities, with populations, with the government, with civic society, and I really appreciate the like-minded people like Zamzam Foundation that are bringing this piece of work. And as I leave you back to the studio with that last clip, I want to sincerely thank Dr. Catherine Baisi from NEMA, the Deputy Director of Education, Awareness and Training from NEMA. Thank you very much for joining us. And Farhia Ahmed from Zamzam Foundation, who is the Program Director, for the immense work you're doing around civic education. I am yours truly from the Kenya Red Cross Society, Peter Murgor, Disaster Risk Reduction Manager, who works around with our national society across the country to make sure that we are conserving our environment as we are seeking to reduce disasters. Thank you very much.
Dabur is already using electric trucks converted by IX Energy. These vehicles have been part of its delivery fleet since 2020 and currently supply 26 different warehouses.
We were actually experimenting with different technologies, EV, CNG, etc. And on the way, we also got to know about the retrofit vehicles. We found this technology to be more sustainable than probably the EVs also, because these are old vehicles which we are trying to recycle by retrofit. So that's how we thought that it will be worth to experiment with this technology also.
India's public electric charging infrastructure is still lagging behind. There is currently only one public station per 235 electric cars. For professional drivers like Ravindra Singh Rathore, that is the biggest obstacle to switching to electric. The authorities have not been able to cope with supplying compressed natural gas. There are still queues at the CNG pumps. It's not that you go, fill up and leave. So if you're promoting EV so much, then at least provide enough charging stations. India's capital, Delhi,